With so much trouble, the Prime Minister is clearly in need of a circuit breaker, and there's one hugely important policy that she's pursuing with zeal. A national disability insurance scheme has been on the cards for years as the only decent way to support Australians with a disability. Today, thousands rallied around the country, and Julia Gillard promised again to launch the scheme next year. But who will pay for it? Hayden Cooper reports.
At 25, Claire Hooper is creative, independent and happy. She paints, volunteers and is optimistic about the future.
Yeah, I can go out the door, I can do that. Just not self-conscious and think it's so scary out there. I can do that, I can do this. And the help of support of people.
It's an example of how the system should work. Claire and her family use state government funding to arrange private sector help in the home. But this is not the common experience. This sort of support is in short supply. Claire Hooper is lucky.
And we have taken Claire from a person who wouldn't leave her bedroom 4 years ago, and now we have her living independently and contributing to her community.
At 39, Wesley Grievous needs much more help.
Here's your, might not be 15 minutes of fame, Wes.
He has Kearns-Sayre syndrome, a debilitating muscle wasting disease that his mother first noticed when he was 17 years old. Since then, he's steadily deteriorated.
Until we come to the stage we've come to today where he can't walk at all. He's either in bed or in his wheelchair.
This is the morning routine just to get out of bed. A carer helps Diane Hewitt 4 days a week. It's a heavy strain on her and on her son.
1, 2, 3. Oh! There's times you think, oh gosh, you lie in bed in the morning, think, gotta get up. Same old thing today, same old thing today. Get ready for the shower, and so on and so forth.
For both families, finding the support they need has always been difficult. The problem is that Australia's disability system is fragmented, unreliable and always at the mercy of state budgets. It's why all politicians seem to agree the time for a national insurance scheme has come.
NDIS, yes!
People with disability and their families have waited far, far too long for this, and it is a very exciting time in social policy, and I'm certainly determined to make sure it happens.
As today's national rallies proved, the campaign for the change is in top gear. Disabled Australians have been bombarding their federal MPs, and most have responded, putting their faces to the cause. It's a blitz that's been coordinated by a former New South Wales Health Minister.
It doesn't matter to us whether it's in the budget or it's an off-budget announcement, that doesn't matter. But what we need to know is that major commitments are made this calendar year so the NDIS can get going.
Today I can announce that in the May budget, my government, your Labor government, will fund our share for the launch of the National Disability Insurance Scheme. We will do our part.
The disability sector wants a credible commitment of at least $500 million in next week's budget. Beyond that, covering the longer-term cost remains a potential stumbling block because the state treasurers are nervous.
At the moment, the honest answer of what is our fiscal position, it's incredibly tight. There is very limited capacity to make a contribution beyond what we are in relation to the disability sector.
The question we all have is how is it going to work, and importantly from a treasurer's perspective, how is it going to be paid for?
The whopping price tag of this reform is at least an extra $6 billion a year on top of what's already spent. The federal government is saying nothing about how that bill will be paid, whether it's picked up entirely by Canberra's existing budget, paid jointly with the states, or even through a new tax or levy on all taxpayers. Despite a level of cooperation at COAG, treasurers in New South Wales and Queensland have told 7:30 they're still being kept in the dark.
The problem we face at the moment is that the federal government are not really working with the states to work out how a funding model can work. We can't make bricks without straw, and at the moment the federal government are not even giving us the straw.
Don't turn this into a political game. There is a real chance to do it properly, and if you don't do the work, if you don't do the funding properly, well, our fear is you are raising false hope across a sector, and I don't think this is the issue that you should do that with.
If this scheme becomes a reality, one man will be remembered more than most as the architect. John Walsh has been a quadriplegic since a football accident when he was 20. Now a partner at PricewaterhouseCoopers, he helped write the Productivity Commission's report on the scheme and wonders what progress has been made.
That's been about 8 months ago, and there hasn't been much of concrete happening since then. I suppose government's got to go through the process. Government has to go through, particularly with a federation like we have.
Now the Prime Minister wants to start trials next year, a year earlier than John Walsh recommended. He calls it ambitious.
The risk is that bringing it forward makes it more difficult to do it properly. And so there's a great deal of work needs to be done in the next 12 months to make it work properly.
There you go.
For Wesley Grievous, happiness is found in television and film when he can leave the house. But like many others, there's no real certainty about how long his current support will last. And like all carers and parents, his mother worries deeply about the future.
There's almost the horrible thought in your mind, maybe it would be better if my child died before I do. And that's an awful thing to say because, of course, you want them to have a happy life, and but you get the feeling that there will not be the support once you're gone and are not there.
For them and 400,000 other Australians, the need is urgent.
Sooner, better. For everyone.
And you obviously feel the same way, Claire?
Yeah. Well, it just gives people a bit more idea of living, and I can get out and that and do things by themselves.
NDIS, yeah!
Hayden Cooper reporting.